Oh yes, the sounds of Foreigner, cold as ice. I am truly down with the kids, as it were. This is Blue Please, my name is Total Biscuit, and we're talking about World of Warcraft, as you might expect. Now, I said I've got a big idea for you, and I wasn't actually kidding. Now, while I was stuck offline for a week, I decided to sit down and think about, well, what is the biggest problem I've got with WoW at this point in time? And my answer came almost immediately, and it was PvP, or the current state of it. Now, as a guy who rolled on a PvP server and enjoyed many a gank on the way to 60, I'm saddened to see the current state of PvP. It's pretty terrible, to be quite frank. Battlegrounds are pretty much awful. AV consists of nothing more than running to the other guy's boss as fast as you can, not even to stop to fight in the middle like we always used to do. Where does the 5-hour AVs go, man? I mean, their system's just terrible. All of the other Battlegrounds, I can't even figure out what Eye of the Storm's supposed to be. It's just a complete and total mess. But the biggest problem I've got is not Battlegrounds. My biggest problem, and my biggest beef right now, is arenas. And you might say, Total Biscuit, what's so wrong with arenas? Arenas are fine. And of course I would call you an idiot, because they're not fine. They're clearly not fine. They're indeed one of the biggest sources of complaint within the WoW community right now, and yet no one seems to know how to fix it. They all come out with these little elements. It's like, well, this is wrong, this is wrong. It's like, yeah, well, all of these things are wrong, but what's really wrong with it? Well, I'll tell you what's really wrong with it. The fact of the matter is that it's a bad system from the get-go and needs a complete, total overhaul. So I decided I'll overhaul the system. And I'll write a proposal. So I started writing, clickety-clickety, sounding like this. 5 hours later, I've got 4,000 words, or so, give or take. And I've also got a 20-minute audio presentation, which pretty much consists of me reading the design document, because some people are just too lazy. I mean, I suppose there's kind of concern for people who are hard of sight and can't really see it very well, but, most people are pretty lazy and they prefer to hear it rather than actually have to read it. So, in the next few minutes, and I say few, I mean like 15, I'm going to explain this system to you. I'm not going to play the 20-minute audio recording for you. I don't think that's really necessary. But what I will be doing is, while I'm talking about this, I'm going to be posting it on the WoW Radio forums in my Blue Please show discussion forum. Now you might ask, Total Biscuit, how do I get to this miraculous forum? Well, the answer is quite simple, my dear. Go to wcradio.com, click the forum button. Yeah? Well, when you do so, well, I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to walk you through it. Open up your browsers. Fellows, let's do it. Click the forums button at the top of the screen. Click the forums button. And I've broken the forums. Why did I tell you to click the forums button? Oh no, it's working again. There we go. It's just going to slow down a little bit, I would imagine. Now, go to the forums. Scroll about halfway down, you'll see show discussion. Click on Blue Please. And what you're going to see there in a moment is a thread called It's a Tarp. Total Biscuit's Arena Revamp Proposal. It's a tarp. I spent all night thinking up that, really. That's actually a lie, I didn't. It was all week. Anyway, I'm going to post this for you, and you're going to get to read it. It's going to be exciting. And at the moment, I'm uploading the audio recording, so you can listen to it after the show. And I do mean after the show. If you tune out to listen to it, I will kick your ass. Like, I'm not just talking your ass, it's like a collective ass-kicking of sorts. That is what is going to happen. And you won't like it. Oh, no. No, you will not like it. So I'm going to post this right now. I'm just going to preview it just to check that it's all okay. Yep, seems to be fine. Oh dear, the message exceeds the maximum allowed length, 20,000 characters. I have a maximum allowed length on my forum? What is this? Somebody fix it right now. I'm going to try and fix it live on air just for this. Now, in the meantime, I'm going to tell you something about this arena system. Now, the arena system that I envision is a league system with divisions. So, not your average run-of-the-mill whatever you have right now. Oh, no, absolutely not. It's going to be a league system, and it's going to be divided into several divisions. Okay? Anyone who has seen the English soccer, or the proper word football leagues, will know exactly what I'm talking about. Teams are divided down into divisions based on their individual skill, and they compete with teams which have a relatively, and I do say relatively, similar skill level. Yeah? Now, what this allows, of course, is for competition within a cross-section of a skill level, and what you're going to see is relatively evenly matched games. Yeah? Watching, say, Swansea Town versus Manchester United is going to be pretty dull. Why? And this is a football metaphor, if you hadn't already guessed, so the Americans are not going to understand it. Why is that not interesting to watch? Well, unless you like watching a game which consists of nothing more than a completely horrible sound thrashing, then you're not going to enjoy the game. And I would hope that you don't like that, because that's really boring, guys. I mean, come on. Do you really want a boring game? No. I want to watch an evenly matched game. Yep. At least as evenly matched as you can get. Yeah. Not entirely evenly matched, because that's never going to happen. You're never going to get a thing which consists of two completely evenly matched teams. It's not going to happen. What you will get is a game which is relatively similar. Relatively. Now, that's okay. So, and I've posted this thread, by the way, guys. You can go check it right now. Go check my forums, wcradio.com, click the forums button at the top of the screen. You can see my idea, and you can read it in full. Now, you're going to ask me, well, how do we divide the players? Well, that's quite simple. Currently at the start of every season, we've got a kind of qualifying phase. And it's not really a qualifying phase. It's, if I could say that word on air, I would say it's a cluster beep. Yeah? Or in fact, I'm going to try and censor myself. It's a cluster... Yeah, it's that. It's a complete mess. Now, why is it a complete mess? Well, basically, everyone's rating gets reset to 1,500, yeah? And what you have is you've got a big dog-eat-dog kind of phase for the first few weeks until the teams distinguish themselves again. And what that basically involves is, every season, anyone trying to get into the system gets their ass thoroughly kicked, regardless of skill, because they're beaten down by players with both more skill, more organisation, more experience, and more gear. And that sucks for anyone that wants to play. So what you have is you've got to take the biggest problem factor that is causing imbalance out of the equation. Now, you're going to ask me, Total Biscuit, how do you do that? I actually waved my hands in the air there just to kind of enunciate my point. Well, here's the thing that you do. You remove gear as a part of the equation. Now, this is currently done in tournament settings, but it's not done in everyday play, which boggles the mind. Now, this is the biggest thing which is causing imbalance in arenas, besides class imbalance, which, as of course, has to be fixed. The biggest problem that's causing imbalance between teams is gear. Now, what do? Well, you give everyone the same gear, and you say, Total Biscuit, that's ridiculous. I disagree. Now, during the qualifying phase, I would suggest that everyone that is in this qualifying phase, and this can start sometime after level 80, right, give them like a month after the first guy hits level 80 to start the qualifying phase. Everyone gets a set of qualifying gear, yeah? For free. An entire set. I'm not kidding. They give it to you for free. And you say, Total Biscuit, that's stupid. And I respond while saying, ha! But it doesn't have to be good gear. It just has to be PvP gear. So they give you the set, and you go into the qualifiers, and you've got to play 10 games a week. Yeah, at least. You can play as many as you want, but you've got to play 10 games a week. And your win-to-loss ratio is what dictates which division you go into. The guys who won 40 games, lost none, yeah, they'll be going to the top division. Now, they will be competing with the cream of the crop, yeah? And there'll be, say, 3 other divisions, and anyone that doesn't get all of the games, or does really, really badly, goes into the bottom division. You split it down via percentiles, yeah? Bottom 25 go into the bottom division. And by 25, of course, I mean 25%. 25% after that, they go to the next division, all the way up to the top division. Now, once you get into that division, the first season will begin. And that season will issue you a set of gear, 8 pieces and a weapon, based on what division you are in. So, let's say we've got divisions A, B, C, and D. If you are in Division D, you get a set of Division D gear straight away off the bat for free. Okay? And you're looking at me saying, has he gone mad? And I'm like, well, hear me out. The gear doesn't have to be great. Yes, I want them to use it in PvE. I want them to experience PvE. Feel free, use a PvP gear in PvE and see how far it gets you. I want these sets properly balanced, yeah? And each division's going to have a slightly better set of gear. And of course, by the time you get to the top division, you're going to be having some really kick-ass gear. Probably about the equivalent of the Season 4 gear you've currently got. Now, here's how the divisions work. Based on your performance during a season, and I want to shorten each season to 4 weeks, yeah? 4 weeks. Based on your performance, you will either stay in the same division, or if you're in the top X%, you will be promoted to the next division. And the bottom X% of each division gets relegated at the end of every season. They go down a division, yeah? At that point, the next season begins. Now you say, well, if seasons begin so soon, then surely these guys are going to be getting new gear. And I'll say yes. What they're going to be doing is they're going to get their gear updated slightly, very slightly. Now the problem I've got with season gear right now is the idea is every season it's supposed to keep up with PvE to some degree. Problem is seasons are so far apart that you really can't accurately judge what the current state of PvE is. So you end up getting gear that is ludicrously overpowered or ludicrously underpowered one way or the other. Now if you do slight updates every month, you can keep the balance reined in. Now, the idea of having the same gear is to ensure that you have balance, yeah? But that's not to say, of course, that your gear is not going to change as you go up and down divisions. You're going to get better gear. Now, depending on what division you are in at the time, depends on what level of gear you have. So say, you started off at Season 1, you started off in Division D. You play Division D for 3 seasons, yeah? By the end of Season 3, you have a set of Division D Season 3 gear, yeah? And then you get promoted to Division C, yeah? You now have a set of Season 4 Division C gear. Now, if you were to drop down to Division D again, your Division C gear, you would get to keep it, yeah? You can still have it, but it wouldn't be updated every season. Only the division you are currently in gets updated gear. So, for instance, you start off in the top division, you never get back up there again. Eventually, the lower tier gear in the lower divisions is going to be more powerful than your Season 1 high tier gear. That represents, of course, the idea that you have to constantly compete in order to keep your gear up to scratch. You have to earn your gear. I'm not kidding. You really have to earn anything past the first division, as in the one at the bottom. And you still look at me saying, well, Total Biscuit, why are you giving these guys gear for free? Well, they're not really getting gear for free at all. The gear they get down in the bottom division is going to be pretty ass, yeah? It's going to be the equivalent of Dungeon Blues around level 78 to 80, yeah? And it'll get minor updates because, of course, Blizzard is going to bring in more Dungeon Blues that are better than the previous Dungeon Blues, blah, blah, blah. And, yes, they can have it, but would they really want it? No, they want the better stuff, yeah? And eventually, up at the top division, you're going to be getting stuff which is the equivalent of raid gear, yeah? Good raid gear. Now, you say, well, Total Biscuit, they're getting a full set of raid gear. Yeah, and you have any idea how hard people are going to fight for that? Yeah. This is something that people don't really realise when it comes to balancing PvE versus PvP. It's not the same, and you can't balance it the same way. You are never going to have an equivalent. People who play PvE, and I've said this, I've been guilty of saying this as well. I will throw my hands up in the air and say, hey, crucify me for saying that, really. It's not the same. I've always claimed that, yes, you should have to put in the same amount of effort. It's not going to happen, because PvP and PvE are different things. One is more time-consuming than the other. One is more skill-based than the other. One requires cooperative play more than the other. There's all these different factors. They're completely different systems. They need to be kept separate, at least as far as you can. So, yeah, I have no problem. As a PvEer, yeah, as a raider primarily, I have no problem with top division players getting gear that is equivalent to my cool, hardcore raid gear, because they're having to compete hard to keep it, yeah? I never lose my gear. My gear doesn't disappear, and theirs doesn't either, but if they want to stay at the, at the edge of the razor, the right top of the curve, the apex of perfection and achievement in PvP, they have to keep competing, and they have to keep doing well. And when it comes to arenas, in my opinion, gladiatorial contests should not be based on gear, they should be based on skill. So people who are competing against each other should be wearing similar, if not identical gear. And it should come entirely down to their team makeup and their ability to play as a team. And their ability to play their class well. Now that is an esport right there. The current system? You want to claim that's an esport, Blizzard? Well, I'm going to tell you that it's not. Because who cares, really? You can't relate to it. I don't want to watch tournament play because I can't relate to it. When I'm getting my ass kicked in arenas with PvE gear on or whatever, or struggling to get my Season 1, I do not care that these guys over there are playing what is effectively not the real thing. It's fake. Tournament play right now in arenas is fake, because they're giving you all gear, whereas the reality of the situation is that nowhere near everyone is playing that way. Everyone is playing in a way where you've got unbalanced gear, and you're coming up against teams which are vastly superior to you, and that's not good. It's not balanced, it's not equal, it's not competitive, it's terrible. And no one is going to take your esports seriously, unless you bring about a system whereby people are competing with similar, if not identical, levels of gear, and they are competing to go up or down in divisions, so they can get better gear that way. And it will be based on their achievements, not on their ability to attend 10 games a week and lose them. Now, if you want to read about my stuff and my idea, you can check out my forum, wcradio.com. I will be posting this on the WoW forums after the show, and I will be putting a link to that post in my post on the Blue Please forum. I would like you guys to comment on it. If you have questions, problems, queries with it, please post in that thread. This is a campaign, folks. I'm going to be mentioning this over the next couple of weeks. I would love for this to get implemented. Now is the time. Now is the time for this to change. Because this system could be great, and arenas could be awesome if Blizzard takes it by the horns and says, look, our current system is broken, let's fix it, let's do something radical. You'll listen to Blue Please here on WoW Radio with myself, Total Biscuit. Here's some Enter Fire into battle, and I'll be right back after this. Enjoy.